Did you know there's a real person out there in England putting on a mask and stopping muggings and assaults in the dead of night? He dresses in a black bandana mask, a tight black shirt, and military pants. He knows martial arts and can fight multiple people at once, and he stays in a single neighborhood within a major city. Doesn't he sound just like the real life Batman? Oh, I bet he's pissed. Actually, he sent an anonymous email claiming he wants to be referred to as the Shadow, like the pulp hero from his childhood. Isn't it funny how something completely different gets looked at by the media, and they always go, you know what? That needs to be Batman. Oh wait, that happened with every single thing DC has produced since, I don't know, 2008-ish? Am I the only one who's getting kind of sick of Batman? Every character from DC has to bite off of the same formula. DC used to have much more variety than this, but the way things are looking for the DC cinematic universe, the title of each movie should be Batman vs. Comedy, Dawn of the No Colors. Anyone miss the days of, here's the rest of the Justice League, Batman's over there being moody and they all make fun of him for it? Everyone had a unique personality and their own methods of being superheroes. They didn't all conform to the same sense of ethics as him, and he certainly wasn't the leader. He was just the team bad boy that was cool because he was different.
Gladly join.
What about you, Batman?
I'm not really a people person. But when you need help, and you will, call me.
Understood.
The dynamic doesn't work if they're all whiny, sad kids. It started in the comics and it slowly enveloped all the mediums that DC material exists in. In short, Batman ruined DC on the screen. Number 1. All DC movies are conforming into the Batman cinematic universe. Whether he's in the movie or not, you can feel the Dark Knight's tone and cinematography and everything now. The Dark Knight did a lot for superhero movies as a genre by being cerebral and thought-provoking and taking itself seriously, which in turn helped people take the genre seriously. It played a major role in the fad we have going now where all the big blockbusters star characters in tights. But they feel this need to copy that formula everywhere. Man of Steel being the leading example at the moment. When people think of Superman, do you imagine seeing characters look off into the horizon as the apocalypse slowly consumes the world? How about someone being dragged into a pile of skulls while someone else sits there and talks about how hard he gets thinking of planetary genocide? An entire city being blown up repeatedly by a laser slamming down into the ground from the sky? Breaking someone's neck and crying over their corpse? It's all signs that Warner Brothers felt like they had to make Superman more of an adult-oriented property. This ain't no family-friendly movie, kids. I'll tell you that much. Take your dinosaurs and go elsewhere. It seems to be part of this committee thinking that if something, Dark Knight, sells well, make everything else like it to keep the same group interested and guarantee financial security. So, boring business shit aside, Man of Steel pissed off a good portion of people by being too violent and dark. I personally think it's my favorite art house black and white independent film. What we can take away is that DC thinks David S. Goyer is a genius and needs to be emulated in everything because of his one fluke with The Dark Knight. Superman is now depressing in sepia tone with a plot about a character learning that he is a symbol and using his resources to stop a bad guy who is insane and anarchistic for the sake of being insane and anarchistic. Zod doesn't want to save his race any more than Joker wanted to save that pen. He was a crazed, murderous, evil psychopath, and Superman can't crack a joke to save his life. There was one joke in the movie about how Lois got cut off before she could say Superman. Are you laughing yet, everyone? Speaking of, what about the title, Man of Steel? Instead of using the superhero's name, we gotta use his tagline as the title. Just like that one thing. Following that line of logic, The Green Arrow movie should be called The Emerald Archer, or The Flash should be called The Fastest Man Alive, which sounds like the title of a sad independent comedy about an office worker with a terrible bedroom life and a heart of gold. Despite everything, the next Superman movie is about Batman. The long and boring title says it all. It's clear where their priorities lie. The next movie in their lineup is Suicide Squad, a film about several supervillains being recruited from prison by the government to do impossible missions and reduce their prison sentences. That actually sounds like DC's Guardians of the Galaxy. Something weird and off the wall to keep the universe fresh and introduce a ton of obscure characters to the mainstream. It could be really cool. Let's look at the lineup, shall we? Do I need to say any more? Oh wait, yeah I do. Batman is in the movie too! They couldn't just let their flagship characters stay out of something for 5 minutes. It's like if Marvel had Spider-Man in every movie from the first phase of their series. It wouldn't allow for any creativity and he'd just overshadow everyone he was put in a room with. They had one movie without Batman, and I think the only reason he wasn't there is because they couldn't figure out a way to shoehorn him in. At least it can be interesting to see Batman and Superman interacting on screen for the first time. But that's all that movie has going for it. Hey, remember when they announced this story and Marvel went, oh shit, what do we do to save Captain America 3? It's gonna get destroyed at the box office by anything with Batman in it. Just turn it into a full-on Avengers movie with a misleading title. That'll help. You guys. So yeah, Batman's presence is affecting everything, and not just in cinema for DC. Number 2, Batman is taking over the television.
Most of us will sleep better knowing that Superman is watching over us.
Anyone still remember that show Arrow? Yeah, me neither. But it was a big step in the right direction for superhero TV shows, which, prior to it, were all just, and it had a pretty unique feel and identity. It was a show about a vigilante using his skills to actually kill high-ranking ruffians as part of a revenge quest. Stopping street crimes and bank robberies did happen on occasion, but it was more of an afterthought. Oliver Queen also had a pretty large group of friends and family to keep up with, and wasn't the depressed loner type. It had a pretty good first season, but then the hype for Dark Knight Rises blew up just before the series premiered, and it seems like some executives said, "We need to make it more like Batman." Now all of his friends and family die off slowly, or become weird vigilantes too. He decides he's not allowed to kill villains anymore, and he gets a stick up his knock about becoming a symbol, and "I have to stand for something more." He fought a couple of obscure dropouts from Batman's Rogues Gallery before, but the entirety of Season 3 was about fighting the same guy from Batman Begins. This Batman wannabe used to have depth, but now he's just got nothing left in the old quiver, you know? Arrow had a season and a half to be good, but some others were dead on arrival. I present to you Gotham, the Batman show that didn't have the budget to have Batman in it. Not only does it screw up every known timeline for that character, but it has little Bruce Wayne drawing pictures of skulls and listening to heavy metal in the background of boring episode after boring episode. It's the most unnecessary TV show I've ever seen. It has a relation to Batman, so they naturally thought it'd draw loads of money and be an instant hit, right? Yet they do absolutely nothing to expand on these iconic characters. It just shows them walking around doing menial tasks and being common cops and robbers 20 years before they do anything actually interesting. Now don't mistake my hatred of these shows and movies for being dark and gritty crime dramas. That isn't the problem at all. Dark and gritty stuff can be great. It's the fact that they are so pathetically reliant on a guy in a bat costume that they can't have their own identity. They're just echoes of the movie. They might as well be advertisements for the fucking movie. As much as the daytime soap opera BS and weird casting bugs me, I applaud the Flash TV show for at least trying to do its own thing without the stains of broody McGoth rage all over it. And a dark and gritty superhero show can be done well. Look at Daredevil. I think it works so well as an addition to the Marvel Universe because it is so different from everything else. There is a level of variety from those bright and action-packed comedy films about the Avengers. So I guess in a roundabout sort of way, what I'm trying to say is... Number 3. What I'm trying to say is... Bats is an interesting character. He always has been. Actually, never mind, he wasn't interesting until Frank Miller, but I digress. He's one of the most deep and thought-provoking heroes of the DC universe, and he feels like the most down-to-earth and realistic hero on their roster.
People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy, and I can't do that as Bruce Wayne. As a man, I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible. I can be everlasting.
What symbol?
Something elemental, something terrifying.
But he can't be the center of attention. He can't be everything. The thing about having a whole universe of characters and locations and ideas is that, well, they don't have to all be attached to the same story. They don't have to all be exactly the same. Superman's personality and his costume are allowed to be colorful, and he can fight people who aren't just insane terrorists. Wonder Woman can be a tough female hero, kicking ass just as well as any of the other guys without having to get her start in a Batman movie. She deserves more than to be just a cameo and an ornament for Batman vs. Superman to flaunt around in the trailer. Aquaman can have a fun personality and a self-aware writing style to offset how fucking boring Aquaman is. Batman can have his own movie about doing what he does best. Mope on a rooftop about how hard it is being a handsome, physically fit billionaire who can operate outside of the law.
My life is so hard, you guys. Everyone should pay attention to me.
The formula of just be Batman will only get DC so far. Right up until they get to a movie about the Flash. That character is impossible to make dark and gritty and depressing. When the time comes for them to come out of their comfort zone, they won't have any idea how to do it, and the project will fall apart just like the other time they did the exact same thing. It's time to get someone in charge of the DCCU. That name doesn't work at all. So that they could ensure that each director doesn't run away with the ideas and do all the dumb things I just said they were doing. I have high hopes that a movie like Shazam will be a big hit with audiences. Maybe teach DC that they are allowed to have fun and break out of the formulaic pattern. But you never know, it could just as easily turn into a mess.
Then why do you want to kill me?
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? No, you complete me.
You're garbage.